Eastbound traffic's moving again on US 36, but you know what else is still moving? The highway itself. Traffic has been rerouted for the first time since Friday's crack became this weekend's canyon in the highway. But while the westbound side handles traffic going both ways near Church Ranch, that sinkhole keeps sinking. Traffic's going to have to stop again overnight so they can move some fiber optic cables that should reopen for rush hour. So we've told you that the private company that operates and profits off of 36 might not have to pay for the repairs. We told you that taxpayers might be on the hook for both the repairs and that company's lost toll revenue. But what we didn't know, until they talked only with politics guy Marshall Zellinger, is what elected leaders on Colorado's Transportation Committee plan to do about that situation.
We all want to know who is responsible for this. Is it CDOT? Is it the companies CDOT hired to build the bridge? Is it the person who inspected the work? Is it the company CDOT hired to manage US 36 for 50 years? I don't know yet, and neither do lawmakers, but they have a way of finding out.
We can require them to show up and give us answers, and that is what we plan to do and to provide transparency to the public.
Democratic Senator Faith Winter and Representative Matt Gray live near the crack and are the crack duo heading up the state's Transportation Committee. And just like the road deck there, they promise this process will be so transparent you can see through it.
We want answers, we want accountability and transparency as to what happened and why, and ultimately, wherever it went wrong here, we expect that party or parties to be accountable to our taxpayers.
So, will you and me have to pay for whatever this land is doing to the road? I had a chance to ask Governor Jared Polis that question earlier today.
What have you been told as to the responsibility of who's going to have to pay for this?
Certainly, we have indicated to CDOT, and it's certainly the Department of Transportation's approach, that they will do their best to hold parties accountable and to make sure that taxpayers are made whole to the extent possible and that people are accountable for their work.
Call it irony, call it coincidence. After our interview, Winter flew to Washington, D.C. to speak at a transportation conference on public-private partnerships. And wouldn't you know, someone from Plenary, the company that manages US 36, they'll be there too.
I definitely am going to talk to Plenary and have talked to Plenary about their role, about how we can get the highway open as quickly as possible and make sure that this agreement is serving our residents.
Those Transportation Committee meetings won't happen until the fall. Anyone is welcome to come to the Capitol and hear what happens. One of the questions I've been getting is, if we as taxpayers, Kyle, if we have to pay for this, where does that money come from? And I harken back to 2013 and the floods. The state has emergency funds. We talk about budgets, and you put so much % in an emergency fund just for this reason. And I almost thought we went through it because of the floods, but it's been filled back up again to the appropriate amount, which might be needed to fund this.
It's the Shift Happens Fund. You talked about that yesterday. All right. Thank you, Marshall. Appreciate it. An excellent question on this topic comes to us from Kathy and Catherine, both wondering what's preventing the westbound lanes of US 36 from collapsing. We went to a CDOT engineer for an answer.
The wall on the westbound side is much smaller. This wall is about 30 feet tall. That wall is 10 to 15 feet tall. It is also on better soil.
Smaller wall, better foundation. Check and check. CDOT says it totally gets your concern on this, so they have watchers on the wall. Something messed up is happening in Brighton. It's a big enough deal, I think, that people from all over should care about this. And it really is messed up no matter which side is telling the truth. So either customers got overcharged tens of millions of dollars for water and the city manager is getting fired to cover it up, or there's nothing wrong with the water charges in Brighton, and a city councilman has unfairly painted the mayor and his colleagues as crooked. Steve Stager's at City Hall, where the city manager could get fired tonight, and supporters of his are outside collecting signatures to get rid of the mayor. Steve?
For a recall effort, yeah, Kyle, that rally started about a half an hour ago, and there's already a line to get into City Hall for tonight's meeting that starts at 7 o'clock. Folks out here in that rally are angry about the mayor and some city council members trying to oust this city manager over what they call a cover-up of price gouging. And they're trying to figure out, everyone is trying to figure out, whether the city really needed to increase water rates over at least the last 5 years to try to raise money.
So the first question is, are these dollars out of line? And my answer to you is, I don't know. Let's go find out.
That would seem a very important question Mayor Ken Kreitzer and the rest of City Council need to answer. The city's current embattled manager has pointed out that while the City Council voted to keep raising sewer and water rates, that money kept stacking up and wasn't really spent. Since 2014, Brighton City Council has voted to increase rates here every year, raising the water, sewer, and storm drainage bills for fixed-rate residents by about $12 per month since then. Consumption rate users have seen increases too. And while those rates have gone up, the cash on hand within the water, sewer, and storm drain funds has increased each year by about $40 million in all.
We have asked to find out, get to the bottom of what those funds are for and the projects that need to be there. And quite honestly, I'm still waiting for those answers.
It's Brighton water, but I filter it with a Brita.
City Councilman Matt Johnston, who's behind the recall effort against the mayor, says he believes the council was misled by previous utility managers into thinking a rate increase was necessary to keep things afloat, when really they were just trying to bank money for the future.
Did they not have the money to complete those projects? Not that I can see. It looks like they had the money and were asking year after year, and the council just said yes.
Though the mayor says the city may need that money as it continues to grow.
This money is, we've got to find the projects that it goes for. We've got to do those projects. And if we've got to give the money back to the people, we've got to give the money back. We'll make the right decisions, but we're growing. And we have needs.
And he says his decision to oust the city manager has nothing to do with water.
But I worked with this gentleman for 2 years, and I've come to the conclusion that I don't have faith or confidence in his leading our city.
So beyond the politics and the personnel decisions, the real question here, were those rate increases justified? And last week, the City Council voted for a forensic audit of all of these funds and all of the rate increases to see if the City of Brighton actually needs that money. Then the council will go through, and if it is indeed justified, leave it the way it is. If it isn't, they'll try to figure things out. And you heard the mayor just there, Kyle, say if the money has to go back to the people, the money will go back to the people.
Something tells me that's not going to keep people from gathering signatures to recall him outside today.
The large crowd that's already here, something tells me that this is going on for a little while.
Man, people fired up there. You just hope they're getting good information. All right. Thank you, Steve. So, you ever start a new job and almost immediately think to yourself, you know, I think I'd rather have another job instead. I'm going to go looking. And that is what Colorado Secretary of State Jena Griswold is doing. 7 months into her first term in her first elected office, she's exploring the exits to run for Senate. That's the crowded dozen-candidate Democratic primary we've told you about. There's a new exploratory committee for Griswold who says she is not going to step down from her current job if she runs for her next one. Her office would be the one certifying the signatures to determine which Democrats make the ballot. Aurora police had a plan to catch thieves and to promote Amazon products. But the whole thing was a bust. No criminals were caught. There was no convenient product placement for Amazon on the news. It's a business that the city of Aurora has been courting for years. What was called Operation Grinch Grab was first revealed by Vice News. We then confirmed it through our own open records request. Amazon provided its Ring home security products, video doorbells, plus some Amazon branded boxes. The idea was to lure in thieves to steal the Amazon deliveries, have them get caught on camera by Amazon products, and then police could catch them using GPS devices in the boxes. Everybody gets some delicious PR, but nobody stole the bait boxes. In an internal email we saw, Captain Matthew Longshore of Aurora PD wrote, "I'm not sure if I should be happy or sad about that." Aurora police sent us a written statement saying their primary goal in the Amazon-branded sting operation was to educate the public about package thefts. We have been trying to get a hold of Colorado's Republican Senator Cory Gardner to discuss President Trump's racist tweets telling American congresswomen of color they should go back where they came from. And today we heard this from Gardner and his staff. Yeah, we didn't hear anything from them. They aren't responding to us.
The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Congress condemned the president's tweets today, with Democratic Congresswoman Diana DeGette of Denver presiding over the House. 4 Republicans, none of them from Colorado, voted with the Democrats against the president today. DeGette noted on social media that she was honored to be up front for that vote as one of 24 House members born outside the U.S. I had the same question that you have right now. Diana DeGette was born in Japan to American parents who were deployed in the military. A granddaughter was worried that her grandfather, World War II veteran, was not going to get the honors that he deserved at his funeral. Yet over the weekend, after the story aired here, she says strangers showed up to give him more than she could ever hope for. Heather Stoper told Next last week that the funeral home they were using ended up double booked, so they weren't able to provide the military honors that her grandfather, Charles Grando, had earned. But soldiers from Fort Carson attended the service. They folded the flags. The National Honor Tour rearranged its schedule to be there in Pueblo to play taps. A bagpiper, a guy named Scott, played taps when the family arrived and left the cemetery. A veteran from Alamosa showed up to fire a gun salute and left the family with the casings.
As America remembers the Apollo moon landing, how many Coloradans can say this?
I was in the best place on Earth to watch the first man step on the moon.
We'll hear his unique view of world history. Boulder says it's got to kill the frogs to save the frogs. It makes sense when we'll explain it. Next.
A gentleman on Twitter who goes by Falcon says, remember when there was Phil the sinkhole on I-25 a few years back? I think it was Gary Shapiro and Greg Moss who named that big hole Phil the sinkhole. Well, this guy writes in and says, what shall we name the crack on US 36?
Another beautiful, warm summer day in Denver, Colorado. Look at it out there. It's gorgeous. There are a few little thunderstorms that we're tracking, but not enough to really make a difference or a dent in the heat. How about the high today? 96 degrees. The average is 90. It's only going to get warmer. So if you are able to get a few raindrops out of some of these quickly moving storms, kind of grab onto those. Be happy because we're cutting off the moisture flow for the next few days, and we're going to turn the heat up. As a matter of fact, temperatures today, which were in the mid-90s and triple digits, will go a whole lot warmer as we move through Thursday and Friday. Could be our first 100-degree day of the year. Not a lot of moisture coming in tomorrow. We'll call it partly cloudy in the afternoon and dry. And with light winds, those hiking and biking won't have a big lightning threat to worry about for a change. That's the one piece of good news. Isolated storms early, then clearing. Our low 66, a hot high tomorrow of 97. Warm and dry with triple-digit highs possible Thursday and Friday, but much cooler Sunday into Monday with a chance of much-needed rain. We'll look for highs in the upper 70s and lower 80s as the second half of the weekend and first part of the new week moves in. But I don't know, like John Hassel says, Kyle, this heat just may be too much to bear.
Nope. Not going to do it. The frogs are bullies. The American bullfrogs, specifically. Real son of a biscuit, those things. They prey on the smaller native frogs and they spread diseases. So what shall we do with these bullfrogs? Wildlife workers say, kill them.
So what this is a collaborative effort between multiple jurisdictions, cities and counties to control an invasive species, the American bullfrog, in order to preserve native ecosystems and to reduce the threat to native wildlife, such as northern leopard frog. I'm Matt Kobza. I'm a wildlife biologist with Boulder County Parks and Open Space. These bullfrogs are native to the eastern and southern parts of the United States. They have colonized this area, unintentional introductions perhaps from fish stocking. They are a game species. People do eat frog legs, so they've been introduced that way.
The American bullfrog is now outcompeting native amphibians, and we're starting to see that in a lot of different locations. Hi, I'm Will Keeley, wildlife ecologist with City of Boulder Open Space and Mountain Parks. So we probably have bullfrogs on 70% of our 111 wetlands.
It's hard to say how many we started with. However, we know today we must have probably thousands on the landscape here in Boulder County. One method to collect them is to use a low voltage shock, which temporarily stuns the frogs for a few seconds, and then we collect them in nets. Boulder County then euthanizes them with Oragel, benzocaine, which puts them to sleep rather quickly, and then they're preserved.
Yeah, like over here.
Right.
these bullfrogs are not native to the ecosystem and must be removed in some of these locations in order to improve habitat conditions for native amphibians. It's not an obvious situation, so education and outreach is definitely key.
That guy said they euthanize them with Oragel. Yikes, strong stuff. So these bullfrogs, they are bad mamma jammas, as the kids now say. They also eat Colorado's endangered Preble's mountain jumping mouse, which we're trying to save. So, bye, frogs.
The whole world was watching Neil Armstrong walk on the moon, while he was watching Neil's neighbors.
I couldn't possibly know whether the amazed look on their faces were because a man was stepping on the moon or because it was a man from their hometown.
A Coloradan who traveled the world in search of news remembers the day his assignment reached the moon. That's next.
Y'all have come up with some pretty good crack names. When I came to town about a dozen years ago, I was watching this old cable news network. Remember HDNet, beautiful HD pictures? And I heard this deep voice correspondent, and he told the most fascinating stories. I had no idea that Greg Dobbs, that guy, lived here in Colorado. His prior work with ABC News took him around the world. And it took him to one special spot when all the world was looking to space. Greg Dobbs reflects on his day in Neil Armstrong's hometown in Ohio.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
July 20th, 1969. You know, there are people who were alive then who will tell you they'll never forget where they were when they saw Neil Armstrong step on the moon. And I'm one of them, because I remember exactly where I was. I was in his hometown of Wapakoneta, Ohio. And if there was any town in all the world that was more excited than all others, that's the one.
There's really nothing to say about it. What can you say about a site like that?
For us at ABC News, for the other networks that were broadcasting from Wapakoneta, we had the biggest television monitors we could. And that was the only way in those days that people could stand outside and watch the broadcast. So they were gathered around our truck and NBC's truck and CBS's truck, watching their hometown boy step on the moon. It was nighttime, so a lot of people could see it from a long ways away. There were black and white monitors, but everybody could see what was going on.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
I've covered a lot of historical events as a correspondent for two different television networks, including the revolution in Iran and the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan and the peace process in the Middle East and the troubles in Northern Ireland. I don't think any was as exciting. Some were a little more vigorous, but none was as exciting as being a part of the coverage of man's first steps on the moon.
And it's possible that there are people today who have grass souvenirs from the moon landing. Dobbs says he saw people pulling handfuls of grass out of Neil Armstrong's yard. Your feedback includes a Desert Storm reference, which is a first for this program. Next. Bonnie writes, I haven't watched a regular news program since Desert Storm was shoved onto my TV. Thank you for bringing the public a news program worth watching. Jamie's unimpressed. Get some chapstick and a lint brush, please. And I'm self-conscious. Jorge Tovar says, fairly new to Colorado. Your show's a lot of fun to watch. Don't leave 9 News. Stay. So ordered. Stay. See you next time.